Hello.
Centre number AB123, centre name International Centre, examination English as a second language, examiner name Mrs. 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐿, date 1st of April 2024. Candidate name number 0021, candidate name Roman Esteban. Speaking assessment card E. Hello.
Hi.
First, we will start with a short warm-up where I ask you some questions to find out more about you. This part is not assessed. After the warm-up, there are 3 assessed parts to the test: an interview, a short talk, and a discussion. What subject do you most enjoy at school?
Back at school, my favorite subject was probably math. And I think it's done for the fact that I love logical things and just thinking and resolving some problems.
Can you tell me something about your family?
My family, I don't have any siblings, although I have 2 cousins which I really like.
Where would you like to go on your next holiday?
Japan. I love the Japanese culture.
Thank you. The first assessed part of the test is an interview. I'm going to ask you some questions about food. Try to say as much as you can for each question. Before we start, do you have any questions?
No.
Can you tell me about your favourite food?
My favorite dish is sushi. Yeah, I really like sushi. As I said, I love the Japanese culture, and food in Japanese culture is a very important part. So sushis are the most relevant favorite dish for me.
Do you prefer eating at home or in a restaurant?
I would say eating in a restaurant, because when I'm eating at home, it's very in the routine. It's just eating. I'm not really enjoying the moments. But when I'm in a restaurant, usually it's with relatives of mine. So I feel like I enjoy it more in a restaurant.
Do you think young people should learn about healthy eating habits? Why? Why not?
I strongly agree with it, because when it comes to being thrown in the adult world and how it works, you need to provide yourself all it will be required from you to develop yourself and to evolve in that way. So, and being healthy and eating is a major part, so that should be taught in school.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
In school, we are not really learning anything about how to manage living by yourself and being responsible, and they should provide some cooking courses and healthy cooking courses.
Thank you. The second assessed part of the test is a short talk. I will give you a card and you will have 1 minute to read it and think about what you want to say. You should talk about the points on the card. You can't make any written notes, but you can ask me if there is anything you do not understand. You may keep the card until the end of the short talk. Here is your card.
Thank you.
You now have up to 2 minutes to talk about the topic on the card. I will stop you after 2 minutes, but do not worry if you have not finished your talk. Would you like to start?
Yes. Well, my best friend and I were feeling very concerned about those global warming issues recently, and it came to our mind to help in all way to narrow the pollution down. In fact, we were thinking about 2 ideas. The first one was not using plastic, but when we decided to put it into all life, it rapidly became very difficult because we are basically using plastic everywhere and every time. Also, actually plastic is not by itself a danger for our planet, because some research say that actually the plastic is not fully unrecyclable. So a lot of the global plastic used is recyclable. Another idea was to walk or to cycle to school, and that one was quite easier because for me, I'm living really near to my school. Although my best friend is living a bit more far, it was still doable. So actually we achieved to reduce the pollution in our own way. The one I preferred was actually not using plastic, because it certainly would have impacted the environment much more than not using the car or the bus.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, in order to narrow the pollution down at our level, I would say that it requires way more than just not going to school with a bus or with a car, especially because now we have much more electric cars and even hybrid cars.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have the cards back, please?
Sure.
Okay. Now let's move on to part 3 of the test. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions related to the topic you've just talked about. This part of the test will last approximately 3 minutes. Before we start, do you have any questions?
Do we start directly?
We'll start directly, yes. Young people care more about the environment than the older generation. Do you agree?
Well, it is commonly said, actually, but in fact, I think it's just a question of time, I would say, because 50 years ago, the issue and the matter of the global warming and the pollution weren't that obvious as it is now, because there were less proof, and parallel proof that it does exist. So I really think that as a person, our grandparents or parents would have been as concerned as we feel as youngsters than they did.
Thank you. Is it the school's responsibility to teach young people about the environment and other global issues?
Yes, I think so. Because school is a major part of the student life, obviously. And a lot of them don't have the opportunity to discuss about subjects like that at home, because basically the parents don't really want to go into those kind of topics. Sometimes they are overwhelmed by work, so they just want to chill out a little bit. And also, I think it's very easy, actually, in my opinion, at school to develop and to introduce those topics. We are basically going through a lot of different classes, a lot of different courses, and all of those can be used to introduce those topics. For example, when we are learning languages, we are learning vocab, and that vocab can easily be related to the global warming or the poverty.
Thank you. Some people think that all air travel should stop to protect the environment. What do you think and why?
I think that's a beautiful idea, but hardly possible to, in fact, be realizable. In my opinion, it's not gonna really stop what's happening, actually. It's quite the same thing as saying we should stop all those gigantic boats that are basically bringing food everywhere in the world and exportations between countries, but that's impossible to do. I think that the most important in that matter is to focus on details that actually can make the difference.
Some people think that we should buy fewer things to reduce pollution. Do you agree?
Overconsumping is a real problem. That's right. And dealing with it is, in fact, something we have to do. Basically, there's a huge gap between some countries and others in our world. For example, we can take France. Actually, if you compare it to any other country in Asia, in South Asia, they are consuming way more. And if all countries, because of technology, because of evolution, are basically going to that point of consumption, it's gonna be a mess. So we have to deal with it. We have to put up with what's happening.
Thank you. This is the end of the test.
Thank you.
End of recording.